What's up, nerds? So, Sparkle's official light cone preview is here, which means we now have everything that we want to know about Sparkle's light cone, multipliers, and all. This is one of the great moments before a character comes out because we actually get real information. Oh my god, Hoyoverse actually giving out information? No freaking way. Okay, anyways, let's get to it. So, the light cone increases the wearer's crit damage by 32%, which is huge for Sparkle. At the start of the battle, the wearer gains Mask, lasting for 3 turns. While the wearer has Mask, the wearer's allies have their crit rate increased by 10% and their crit damage increased by 28%. For every 1 skill point the wearer recovers, including the skill points that exceed the limit, they gain 1 stack of Radiant Flame, and when the wearer has 4 stacks of Radiant Flame, all the stacks are removed and they gain Mask, lasting for 4 turns. There's a lot to unpack there, I understand, but first let's just go ahead and start one by one here, and then we'll compare Sparkle's light cone to different light cones that already exist for Harmony characters. You might notice something is like a little bit off here when we look at this. This is a Harmony character. This is a Harmony light cone, and this gives crit damage. It increases his wearer's crit damage by 32%, which is huge. Okay, so this leads me to believe, and I imagine many other people feel the same way, that this particular buff here means that Sparkle's likely going to be giving crit damage from her skill based on her own personal crit damage. A lot like Bronya. This is the other thing that make people feel like Sparkle is kind of like Bronya 2.0. It's not just because of the action advance, it's also because of the way that she scales her skills ability. And if you guys didn't know, I just put out a video going over Sparkle's fully released kit. We literally just got the full kit right before we got the light cone, so check the pinned comment and description below if you want information on that. That way you understand how her kit kind of works and how this light cone adapts to that kit. This 32 crit damage is huge. This literally instantly means that this is probably a really good option for Bronya to be able to use now too. So this might accidentally become a really, really good Harmony light cone for not just Sparkle, but other Harmony characters as well. Specifically Bronya and Sparkle. This won't really work as well on other characters. Now let's keep moving. At the start of the battle, the wearer gains Mask, lasting for 3 turns, which is, a pretty good amount of time. While the wearer has Mask, the wearer's allies have their crit rate increased by 10%. This is massive. Giving crit rate, and she's also going to give crit damage with her skill just by doing whatever she wants to do. This light cone's going to be, freaking massive on her. And their crit damage is increased by 28%. Say what? Dude, that's huge. So she's going to probably have a really, really powerful basic attack. Because notice this, at the start of battle, the wearer gains Mask. So she's increasing her own crit damage and her own crit rate. This is a support character that's going to be able to deal damage. So while, yes, you mostly want to build her for crit damage, if you have her light cone, you also want to build some crit rate on her so that her basic attack ends up dealing a ton of damage. Like, we already see Ting Yun able to deal over 10,000 damage pretty easily with her basic attack. Imagine a character that's actually built to be able to crit and has their own personal crit damage. Sparkle might end up being a sub-DPS character with this light cone, dealing damage that can probably rival even a break build Silverwolf. So that's a big deal because we're mostly excited about her buffs, but she buffs herself with this light cone. Anyways, for every 1 skill point the wearer recovers, including skill points that exceed the limit, meaning that she's able to give us 2 extra skill points, and her ult, I believe, gives us 4 skill points, which is dude, she's gonna be getting this. For every 1 skill point recovered, they gain 1 stack of Radiant Flame, and when the wearer has 4 stacks of Radiant Flame, all the stacks are removed and they gain Mask for 4 turns. So at the start of battle, she gets Mask for 3 turns. You're hoping to, by the end of your 3 turns, get her ultimate back. That way you keep Radiant Flame, or sorry, you keep Mask active permanently. So the main buff that she gets from this is the 32 crit damage. That alone is huge. And the entire rest of this light cone is all built around keeping Mask active, which you're already going to be doing just by playing the character normally. Like, you don't have to really try to keep Mask active, because you're going to want to keep Mask active so that you can keep her ultimate up. If you go take a look at that video I just posted about her kit, you'll realize that she's going to want to hit her ult very often in order to keep up the skill points. That way she stays skill point positive, and she maintains like that comfortability she's able to provide your team, while also keeping up like perma buffs pretty much, because her buffs are mostly associated to her talent and her skill, and you can pretty much keep that maxed out if you build the character and play like a certain way. You know what I mean? So that's a really, really great light cone. Let's compare it to some of the other light cones, with the notion that we're trying to like think about putting, you know what I mean, this light cone on her rather than apply this light cone to other characters, because this light cone pretty much only works on her or Bronya. Literally only her or Bronya. It will not do pretty much anything for any other character. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So I mean, think about it. No other light cone really works as well on her besides that. Let's take a look at Bronya's cone. It increases the energy regeneration rate by 10%, which could be good for getting her ult active, and it regenerates 1 skill point when the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally. So this immediately makes me feel like Bronya's light cone will probably be the second best light cone for Sparkle. But let's keep reading. This effect can only be triggered once after every 2 uses of her ultimate. So this will help her keep skill point, positive, but it's not quite as effective as Sparkle is herself, right? And when the wearer uses their skill, the next ally taking action except the wearer deals 30% more damage for 1 turn. So this is still really, really strong, but it's not quite as strong as Sparkle's light cone will be, because that 32% crit damage increase will help her scaling with her own personal buff that she gives your allies, or just that one ally, right? Because she only gives, to be fair, Sparkle only gives one of your allies at a time that crit damage buff. So just be aware, this 30% crit damage doesn't go to your whole team. It's just going to end up going to her, which she gets her own scaling from, and then she gives to that 1 DPS. So let's go ahead and take a look at any other options we have. Because, let's see. With the break effect from this isn't really that great. When the wearer uses their ultimate, increases the allies. So, like, here's the other thing, too. If you have this light cone, you should just be running Ron May, right? That's the way I look at it. When the wearer uses their ultimate, increases the allies' damage for 20. So this is still a good light cone. This is still a good light cone, but I don't feel like it's as good as Bronya's will be, or her personal signature light cone. Let's see. Planetary Rendezvous. Is this the other one entering battle? Yeah, this isn't that great. After entering battle, if an ally deals the damage of the same damage type. So this Planetary Rendezvous will be pretty good for mono quantum teams with Sparkle, but that's pretty much it. But this is really good for mono quantum teams. So this is actually a good budget option. If you have it, especially if you have it at Super Imposition 5, this will potentially be a really good option for people, but only if they run mono quantum. If you're not running mono quantum, it's kind of not as great. Just kind of worth pointing out. Obviously, Dance, 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 giving the speed action forward. This is always good. More opportunities to be able to have actions is better. And one thing to remember is at Super Imposition 5, when the wearer uses their ultimate, all allies' actions are advanced forward by 24%. Sparkle will also be advancing the actions forward of at least one of your characters. So this is almost 75% action advance forward. It might not matter based on when you use her ultimate, though. So just keep that in mind. But Dance, Dance, Dance is always going to be a good option. You have Memories of the Past. I don't think the break, effect is necessarily that important on it, but the energy gain is pretty nice. Obviously, if you have Memories of the Past, you probably have a S5 meshing cogs, which is essentially the same thing, minus the break effect. Let's take a look at any other options. Past and future, I believe, is probably going to be good. When the wearer uses their skill, the next ally taking action, except the wearer, deals 16% increased damage for 1 turn. So, and at Superimposition 5, this is 32% increased damage. So this is also a very, very good option for Sparkle as well. Mainly if you have it at S5, but I believe this is part of the it's a Forgotten Hall system, so you can take this to S5 pretty easily. So I really like Past and Future. I really like Bronya's Light Cone. Obviously, Sparkle's signature Light Cone will be really good. Let's take a look at the new Light Cone here. After the wearer uses a certain type of ability, such as a basic attack, skill, or ultimate, all allies gain childishness, which increases their allies' damage for the same type of ability as used by the wearer by 12%. And at S5, it's 20%. So this is good if you're paying attention to what ability is currently active. So, like, if you use the skill or the ultimate, you could synergize this to work really well, depending on what DPS you have. But this is a lot more complicated to have to pay attention to and keep track of in the middle of combat. And you might notice the buff is not as good as Past and Future at S5. And you can take this to S5 just as easily as you can take Dreamville Adventure to S5. So I see personally more value in Past and Future because it's not as limited as Dreamville would be. Let's take a look at the Gotcha Cone. Or not the Gotcha Cone, the Battle Pass Cone. At the start of battle, whenever the wearer turns this effective random, all allies attack increases by 20%. All allies crit damage increases by 25%. Or all allies' energy regeneration rate increases by 12%. The applied effect cannot be identical to the last effect applied and will replace the previous effect. The applied effect will be removed when the wearer has been knocked down. Effects of the similar type cannot be stacked. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Carve the Moon, Weave the Clouds, even though it is part of the Battle Pass system. I feel like this should be better if it's part of the Battle Pass. That's just my personal feeling about it. All allies attack increase by 20% at the start of battle and whenever the wearer uses their turn begins. So this literally switches up every single time. The problem with this is that it feels like there's RNG attached to this. So if you get the crit damage, it's good. If you get the attack, it's not. So that kind of sucks, and it's not very consistent. I'm not really a fan of that personally. Run it if you got it, but I personally think that the signature cone's obviously great. I really like Bronya's cone. I really like Past and Future. Like, I like Past and Future a lot. I think we've been waiting for a cone like this to be really good on somebody, and I think we finally found the character that it's good on and like really good on, and that's Sparkle. I think it's best on her than it is like pretty much any other character. Obviously, you have the classics, Dance, 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 Meshing Cogs, Memories of the Past. But yeah, you get the picture. I'm yapping too much here. Those are the light cones. I'll see you in the next one, and peace out.